Hello, 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 hockey world. Welcome to episode 69.
Nobody laugh.
Fucking around podcast brought to you by Don't Puck with Media. Tonight we got a good show for you guys, for all our fans here out there. We got a few topics to touch, but before I introduce the topics, I'll introduce you to all my buddies here. We got on the let's go this way. Top left, we got Cam, Goosey, Sakarze.
This way.
Holy crap, you actually got the last name right, dude. That was impressive. Nice. What's going on, everybody?
I try. I'm a
Welcome.
professional here, Cam. I'm a professional.
That was good for like my last name. Someone taking one look at that, they'd be like, no.
Remember my first time? My first time. I didn't get it right.
Yours was way
I
off.
think I just heard it so many times. I'm like, okay, wait. Please register in the mind. Register.
You know what's funny? I feel like Cam's last name's easier than Rick's for me for some reason.
Dude, it's
I don't
got
know why.
3 freaking vowels in it, my last name. Like, good luck pronouncing that. Like,
Fern, there's no name that's easy for you, bro.
I mean,
I don't know.
can't
Smith
deny
might
that.
be one.
But at least I pay attention to names more. You're usually asleep.
Well, all right.
Yeah,
Well, then you know what? Let's try and get this one right then. Rick Seligman.
No, you said it. No, but you see when I told you earlier, you said it the way I said you're going to say it, and you didn't
But
say
then
it
you
the way
said to say it.
I said. You're gonna say Seligman.
Seligman.
It's Seligman.
Seligman. Okay, I'll get it for next one.
There you go.
Like salt in French. Sel.
That's
Ligman.
right. That's right.
All right. Perfect. Okay.
There you go.
Fine. So bottom right, we got Alex Fernette.
Frenetta.
Cole,
Oh, that's
you're
not how
not
you
even
pronounce
going to imply me as your co-flyer gonna flyer
Oh,
up.
yes.
Wow.
My co-host on Flyer Gonna Flyer, the man, the legend, Alex Ferngully Fernette.
Thank
Wow.
you. It's time someone gives me a little respect in this place.
Get no
Wow.
respect. I get no respect around
The
here.
rest of these cavalcade.
Hey, will you stop giving the man a hard time? He's a professional.
And last but not least, we got Matt Norton.
Or
What's
at
up,
least
Matt?
his face.
What's up?
Faceless man.
Yeah, we
and
just
that
have a
took so
picture.
long. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next week.
No, but okay. So, quick little breakdown of what we're going to be talking about tonight. First topic we will be touching on is round 2 wrap up. What happened? Give our little bit of our opinions. Second topic, Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals, what we think are going to happen, our outlook, our predictions. Third topic, what's worse, having an easier path to the Stanley Cup playoffs or the harder path to the finals, excuse me. And if we have time, one last one, retaliation penalties, how should they be called? And we'll find out.
Stay
So,
tuned.
all right, boys, second round has concluded. We got our winners. Everything's done. So let's give Dallas Winnipeg a shot. 4-2. A series ended 4-2. Dallas winning. Cam, man, observations?
Honestly, I thought Winnipeg would have had a bit of a closer series. Hellebucked. It in my opinion, man. I mean, it was something. I thought after Winnipeg kind of showed some additional grit in the first round, I thought but I expected a little bit more out of that team. Glad Dallas won. I had Dallas winning that. But Hellebuck, dude. Oof.
Yeah, no,
He's
totally.
brutal on the road.
Like, honestly, if you pay a goalie that much money, he should at least win you. He should at least win you one game.
He's gonna
One.
steal you games. I agree.
Still, you
Yeah.
won.
And he
but-
was brutal on the road. You see his numbers on the road as opposed to at home? They were horrible. It was like a goalie Jekyll and goalie Hyde is what it was like.
No, for sure. Alex, man, what are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I gotta say, my cup pick is still alive. I've had Dallas from day one, and the one thing I always mentioned about them and how good they were was because of how deep they are. And I still believe Dallas is the most complete team in the NHL. They showed it again. Ottinger outplayed Hellebuck, and as Rick just mentioned, it's a tale of two teams right now. When Winnipeg is at home, they look like a well-oiled, high-octane machine. But on the road, they look like they can't get out of their own way.
Collapse.
They can't clear the puck. They can't forecheck in the offensive end. They can't put pucks in the net. Hellepuck turns into a pud. One interesting note about Dallas this year, too, they're undefeated in overtime right now. Little underrated thing about them right now, they're 3-0 in overtime games. Got to give them credit. They have had this clutch gene about them in the playoffs thus far that when the money's on the table, they answer. So this Stars team, they're getting healthier. They got Robertson and Heiskanen back this series. They're pretty much 100% now. I think I'm sticking with it. This is Dallas's year. Peter DeBoer is finally going to get over his Western Conference Finals bump.
Okay, I'm relinquishing my time. No, nobody got that. All right. What did I say about? No, we didn't do that part. I didn't watch a lot of Dallas Winnipeg. The last 2 or 3, I think I watched. I didn't watch early. Good hockey. Good hockey. It's all I could say. Not surprising that Winnipeg lost. Have you seen the list of the President's Trophy winners over the last 15 years? None of them went anywhere. So,
Rick, quick trivia question for you. Who was the last team that's won the President's Trophy to win the Cup?
Oh, and I heard this one the other day, and I can't remember, but 2004?
10 seconds.
2004? Don't know who it was.
No, it was Chicago.
Correct. 2013, Chicago Blackhawks. Before that, 2008, Detroit Red Wings.
So that's 2 in the last, 25
years?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a definite jinx.
Well,
or it's not a jinx. There's got to be a reason.
That's for sure.
There's got to be a reason to it. Anyway.
But also, you also have to figure, right? Yeah, okay, fine. You win the President's Trophy and everything, but how much separation really between the team that wins the President's Trophy to the team that would be in second or even third? You know what I mean? Unless it's a big disparity in points. Honestly,
Eric, why don't we ask the 2023 Bruins that question?
No, that's a good point, though. It's a good point, but I don't think a lot of people talk about it from that.
Yeah, it's because they won the President's Trophy, but 2 points over Washington or something,
right?
Give or take.
Then again, Washington is out of the playoffs also, so I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
But
they put up more of a point than Washington did too.
Matt, anything to add, buddy, on the Dallas Winnipeg?
I mean, not really. I didn't really watch a lot of it. Not really surprised Dallas won. I thought they played better pretty much all series. I think Jake Ottinger's been amazing. And I'm looking forward to watching Edmonton Dallas in the next round. I think it's going to be a great series. And we'll see what happens. I mean, hopefully, third time's a charm for Alex, because he's had Dallas winning the Cup, I think, the last 3 years now.
Before we move on to
I know last year I did.
Before we move on to the next series, in round 2, I want to point out Hellebuck's numbers throughout the playoffs in away games and see what you guys think about this. In away games, at St. Louis, game 3, 0.76, game 4, 0.722, game 6, 0.783. All away games in that St. Louis series, he had a sub-8 goals against average. In the Dallas series, it was 0.808, 0.875, and then he had a 0.95.
Sources would tell me, aside from that last game,
I'm sorry, 0.9.
No, it's not good at all.
No,
yeah.
And that's why one of my philosophies, I'm sorry, but it's you don't build a team around a goalie, or you don't just pay big money to a goalie, because it takes so Darcy, you're telling me that someone let's say a Darcy Kemper at $4 million isn't gonna bring you the same value in the playoffs as Connor Hellebuck? Come on, it doesn't make sense. You can't do that. And also, just quick, one last thought on the Dallas Winnipeg. Going into the next round, Dallas does have a lot of depth and really deep team, but I think that the depth has to step up though a little bit, because right now they're being carried by 2-3 players, and because look, quick, that you have Mikko Rantanen with 19 points, and then you have Thomas Harley at 11, Hintz at 10, but then Like Wyatt
It
Johnson
drops.
only has 8,
Drops
Granlund
way off.
7. Huh?
Yeah, it drops way off after Miko.
Exactly. Like Matt Duchene has 5 points in 13 games in the playoffs. Mason Marchman 4 and 13. Dadonov 4. Jamie Benn 3. Like you need your guys. You need your depth to really step up. Right now they're being carried by like the top end guys. And if they want to beat Edmonton, like some of those guys, man, they got to start stepping up.
Right.
You want to hear a scary stat? Carolina, speaking on the opposite end, like that, Dallas only has one person in the top 10 in points in the NHL playoffs right now, and that's Mikko Rantanen at number 1 with 19 points, 2 points ahead of Kyle Connor and Connor McDavid. Carolina doesn't have a single person in the top 10. They're the only team remaining in the playoffs that does not have a person in the top 10 in scoring. Their closest person is in 18th place with 10 points, Seth Jarvis.
Wouldn't that mean that either they're not scoring very much, or
They're
it's
getting great
more
goals.
well-rounded through the team?
Yeah, they're getting a lot of balanced scoring though. Also, Carolina, I think.
I'm going to say this. Freddie Anderson so far has been the best goalie in the playoffs. He's been excellent for Carolina. Dynamite every single. Feels like I don't think he's had a bad game. And just to stay on Dallas real quick, I'm going to make another statement about that Stars team. They have 2 number 1 defensemen. I think it's time to have a conversation that Thomas Hartley is the number 1 defenseman. He is the real fucking deal. That kid is something. He
100%.
stepped up so big when Heiskanen was out, especially during that Colorado series.
Yep.
He's a real deal. I think he's a top 10
100%.
You can argue he's a top 10 defenseman, maybe even.
Oh, I don't know about top 10. He's not there yet, but he's definitely opening himself up to the conversation.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, so moving ahead, Edmonton, Vegas. Edmonton won the series 4-1. Little disappointed by Vegas. I really thought they'd give a better effort against Edmonton.
A lot of disappointed by Vegas.
It really did not show up. And...
We're going to run out of time if we don't go quicker through these.
All right, quick. Cam.
Disappointment. Good for Edmonton. I think they're 8-1 in their last 9. Nuts.
All right, rapid fire. Rick.
Yeah, I thought that Vegas was going to win that series, but now I'm on the Edmonton train, so I'm going for Edmonton the rest of the way.
All right, Alex.
Hiller. Hey, Kings. Thanks for screwing this up and turning Edmonton into a well-oiled machine again, you assholes. Thanks for challenging that fucking goalie interference and turning them into a wagon and screwing over our first-round pick. But Edmonton's playing good. I got to give them props, especially Evander Kane. They got at least someone helping the big 2.
Meanwhile, Alex is like, fucking Edmonton, but go. Do it.
I give props where it's due, but I'm more pissed at the Kings still. I don't even care if Vegas blew it.
Wow. Oh, well.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Vegas would have had a little bit more fight. I mean, I know a few of the games were actually really close. I think Vegas just ran out of gas. I think Edmonton, at one point just kind of took over, and Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard have been very, very good. So, it is what it is. Would have liked to see a little bit more fight out of Vegas, but good for Edmonton, and see what happens against Dallas.
All right, cool. So moving along to the Eastern Conference, we have Florida, Toronto. Series that
we start with that one first.
We should have.
I don't know. I just wanted to get the West. Actually, I should have saved that one for last. To tell you the truth.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we should do Carolina and Washington.
Okay, fine. Yeah, Carolina, Washington.
We get through that one quick.
My cup of Leafs fans' tears.
All right, reverse order. Matt, Washington, Carolina.
Good stuff.
Yeah, Carolina came out, dominated. Took that series 4-1, I believe it was.
Yep.
And kind of showed again why they, deserve to be where they are. And I think we're in for a really, really physical series now coming up with Florida, and we'll see if Freddie Anderson can keep it up. I think it'll be a great series, and I think Carolina really kind of controlled that whole series, start to finish.
Can I say something? It's episode 69, and we're talking about Freddie Anderson keeping it up. Okay.
Don't laugh. Don't laugh, everybody. Don't laugh. He made a pee-pee joke. No, disappointing for Washington, right? You have Ovechkin that just broke the scoring record in Ovechkin fashion. It. Yeah, I kind of expected a lot more out of Washington, especially what they pulled out and what Carver Spencer, or whatever his first name is,
Spencer Carberry.
same thing.
Ivory Spencer.
Hey guys, notice how I'm also dyslexic. Don't make fun of me, guys. I have a disability.
Okay.
Damn, I'm the one that screws up names here. Get your own role.
You're right. Yeah, Spencer Carberry, and it was just a disappointing thing. 4-1 win Carolina. I thought that could have gone 7 games, but there just wasn't enough out of Washington.
Alex?
I want to say this about Carolina. I got to give them their flowers. I thought they were going to be. I will say this: the Metro's weak as hell this year. It really is. New Jersey sucked. Washington played over their heads all year. I'm not saying they're a bad team, but I never thought they were as good as their record showed. And then Carolina seemed like they got weaker from last year, but that they've lost 2 total games in the playoffs so far. They won both their series in 5 games. They're playing great defensively, and that's how they won that series against Washington, was physicality, wearing them down. And Washington's not a small team, and they wore them down. They got fantastic goaltending from Freddie Anderson. They got scoring throughout their lineup. I got to give it to the Canes. I don't think I could see this Florida-Carolina series going the distance. I really could. But Carolina, I got to give them their flowers because I thought they were not going to be this good in the playoffs. So props to the Canes.
Rick? Anything to add?
Yeah, I think Washington kind of had their Stanley Cup chasing the goal totals for Ovi. I'm not surprised that they didn't go farther into the playoffs. I thought Montreal could take them. I thought that was one of the reasons, but obviously that didn't happen. But yeah, I just, a little overrated. And a bad Metro division where they were able to build a lot of points, I think, being the best team in that division.
Yeah, no, for sure. Look, I thought Washington at one point had like that little bit of like a team of destiny kind of feel to them. Like Ovi got the record. It's like the narrative of like second chances, guys people didn't want on their teams. Like Pierre-Luc Dubois, Manjaban, and like Chikrin and whatever. And it's like a bunch of outcasts, kind of like Vegas that year that they went to the finals there in their expansion year. I thought they kind of had that feel.
Ironic. But think about who that was, ironically, against when you bring that up. Who did Vegas play in 2018?
It was Washington.
They played Washington. Yeah. Right? It's crazy.
Yeah,
almost like went full circle with that.
Yeah, nuts, eh? But no, but look, Carolina, man, they stifled them. Like Washington, the high-scoring team, and they couldn't get anything past that defense. It was insane. And but I thought like Logan Thompson actually had a really, really good series. And I could just imagine now like Vegas maybe having second thoughts about trading that guy. Because Hill played bad for Vegas. It's just that like Thompson played really fucking good these playoffs.
They had to make a choice though when Aiden Hill won him a cup. So it's not like you can get away from the goalie that won the whole thing for him.
Yeah, and you can't pay both of them $5 million. You just can't.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so to the last series, the famous Florida versus Toronto, 4-3 Florida, one that we covered
let's get ready to
a few times. And
not really, they didn't really rumble.
The Leafs leafed.
They did what they always do.
The Leaf. You know what? I'll say. I thought like this team was gonna be different this year with Craig Berube, the defense that they built, and like their goaltending was pretty strong. I thought, maybe this year they're figuring it out, but nope. Same old next year.
They did it again, man.
They did it again.
I don't think we need to take turns on this. Like everyone can just jump in and just bash on them. We had that live stream for Game 7, man. Oh, pain.
So let's go over this real quick and just do a little bit of a breakdown. You had your big four all had fantastic years. Maybe not Austin Matthews as much. He's been battling something all year, whatever. Marner broke the 100-point mark for the first time of his career. Nylander and looked great. Tavares looked like he found the fountain of youth again. He almost was a 40-goal scorer. And come playoffs, they beat the Sens in 6. They did what good teams do. They went up 2-0 to Florida. They went up 3-1 in Game 3. And then all of a sudden, 2 goals in a minute, a switch flipped, and they suddenly realized, fuck, we're the Leafs. That's right.
We're supposed to lose.
We find ways to make our fan base make their lives miserable each and every fucking year, no matter what they do. And we're going to find a new way to break their hearts again. And they just keep one-upping themselves. It's really insane.
You know what I think?
How they do this.
You know what? I wonder when they sign their AAV contracts. I wonder if that's part of the contract. Go up in a game, but you guys have to remember you can't win. You guys have to pretend to be sad. We'll give you more money.
Of the 5 of us here, which 2 of us told you guys this and you didn't want to believe it? And it turned out to be that way.
No one had the Leafs. No one in this group had the Leafs making it past Florida. You don't have to tell us that. Like
you guys yesterday before the game, you guys were kind of leaning towards that you think the Leafs could do it, and they couldn't do it.
I asked the question: could they do it? They could have. Could they?
No, they couldn't. They're the Leafs. They don't do it. They don't do that.
The only thing
they could have. They just didn't, and they won't.
They do what they did last night.
The only thing I said with the Leafs, Rick, was if they got past round 2. But if you remember, I said it multiple times, even on this show, that I thought they were going to lose. But if they got past the Florida Demons and finally got to round 3, it would have had a Washington Capitals 2018 Cup run feel to it. They didn't. They cracked their pants.
Sorry to interrupt you. No, I agreed with Alex on that too. I said if they make it past round 2, but were they going to? No. As soon as I saw, like maybe if they played against Tampa, they had a better chance. But no,
you guys gave them a chance. They have a chance to win yesterday. No, they didn't.
Oh, you always have a chance.
Yeah, they have a chance. They still won Game 7. They just sucked.
How do they keep doing this? How the fuck do they keep doing this each and every year? Like how? It's funny to poke fun at the Leafs and their fans.
It's getting sad. It's getting sad.
How do you even accidentally win one of these Game 7s?
What did we say? The entire Florida team could get hit with a bunch of rocks, and if they even sent up Bobrovsky alone, they still couldn't score. So it didn't matter. Bobrovsky would have just stopped everything at that point.
Like let's go over
Bob dialed in.
They've lost 3 times to Boston in Game 7. Actually, or is it 4 times?
I think it was 4
Boston
times.
In Game 7, if you count 2013. They blew a 3-1 lead to Montreal. They lost in 5 to the bubble to fucking Columbus, who is almost as miserable as they are. And then they freaking have a 2-0 series lead this in Florida and a 3-1 lead in Game 3, and they still crap their pants. How are they doing this? I don't get it.
I think that was it. You're right. You're right, though. On Game 3, I think that was the turning point.
It's one of the 7 wonders of the world. You've heard of those. That's one of them.
Hey, you know what's even funnier? What else is a 7th wonder in the world?
What's the 7th wonder in the world?
Game 7.
Well, I don't know.
I just want to read a tweet that I heard that I read today that I find fucking hilarious. Playoff series wins since the 04-05 NHL lockout. Buffalo Sabres 4, Toronto Maple Leafs 2. The Sabres have not made the postseason in 14 years.
I got it even better. I have an even better quote. You remember how I did that the Islanders have won 5?
That's it.
Tavares is what? I'm going to give you an incredible stat that your tree presented us with yesterday. The Islanders have won as many series in Toronto than as Toronto has since Tavares. 1, 2. They tied them in the bubble.
But that's all they've won is 2 series.
They won more.
They've only had 2 first-round wins. That's it.
Oh,
in the
man.
9
the
years,
Islanders won 2 series in Toronto in the bubble.
Yeah,
I think it's more funny that a team that Alex, I think it's more funny that a team in the last that has not made the playoffs in the last 14 years still has more fucking playoff series wins than the team that's been in it. I don't know, for a majority of this of the decade.
9 years now.
9
Yeah,
years.
no,
No,
it's
I,
crazy.
I
It's
agree,
crazy.
Cam. Like that's embarrassing.
Meanwhile,
That's
Buffalo fans are just like, I
embarrassing.
wish we had playoff pain. We can't even get to the fucking playoffs.
You guys get
Yeah.
to go to the playoffs? That's wow.
That stat is crazy.
Buffalo didn't realize that there was a postseason at the end of it. They just thought they just played the game, like 82 games, and that was it. And then they just gave the trophy out at the end.
That's funny because Coach Chippy did a video. I think it was after Game 6. Maybe it was after, but exactly that. Like, after they won the first round. Oh, there's another round. Oh, we didn't know that. Oh, we were ready to go play golf. Basically, like that. There's another round. Hey, did you know there's another round? It's like funny.
Oh no, you know what? And like I said, it's starting to get sad at a certain point. Like Game 5 and Game 7, right? Like you're at home and you don't even show up in your own building, man. Like
Yeah.
that's
the saddest thing, right? Is that they didn't show up twice in that series. When they needed to at the end of the series, they didn't show up at home twice.
Game 7 was a carbon copy of Game 5. Like it was kind of scary.
Yep.
that was bad. It was bad.
Exact carbon copy.
All right.
If we look on the other end, though, Florida, man, they continue to be the wagon. Back-to-back years, they made the cup. I thought they were going to lose to Tampa in the first round just out of fatigue. Nope. This group is still hungry. And as I said last night on the live stream, Bill Zito is the best GM in hockey. What he's done with that team, Brad Marchand has fit like a glove there.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Talking
He's a
about those
rat.
Panthers, man.
We love that.
Round 3, Florida, Carolina, starting tomorrow night.
Yeah, short.
Yeah. Like
That's
a little bit of a.
quick.
Well, Carolina's been nice and rested, so Florida. But then again, you know what? Florida has momentum going into the game, right? At least sometimes it's better off not having too much rest.
Yeah.
So at least you're still in the fight. You don't have time to like get out of it. So all right, let's start Cam, man. What do you think about that series?
I mean, going into the third round, it's definitely going to be interesting. And you're right; it could go one of two ways. But I will say this: I don't think Game 1 is going to be very telling on how the series is going to go because you're going to have Florida that's very tired from you got to think they're traveling from Toronto, I think, to Florida. I think
they're going directly to Carolina at that point.
So I don't know. I'll actually double check that before I make the second claim to it. But I mean, you got to think about it that they just played a Game 7 the other day. They're exhausted, and Carolina's had a little bit of rest. I mean, I thought that they were going to play on Wednesday, so I don't know. You're right. They are going to Carolina, but even then, that's still like a 4-hour flight that you got to take. It's not a short amount of time, and you're right after. So I just don't think Game 1's going to be very telling.
I
What was that?
honestly,
It's like a 2.5-hour flight.
Oh, from Toronto? I thought it would be 4.
and I honestly think at this point, if you have the days off, like Carolina had, I don't know, 3-4 days off. I don't know that that's better for you because you get into a rhythm, and that rhythm is better to just keep going and not have that delay. So I think that the first game, don't be surprised if Carolina shows a little bit of rust.
Yeah, no,
I
it
agree with that.
could go both ways. That's why I think don't look at Game 1 as like the telling element to this. You know what I mean? Look at like Games 2 and 3. Possibly even Game 3 might be the big decider because let's just say one team wins one game and another team's the other team wins the second. I don't know which one's going to win Game 1 or Game 2, but if it's a tied series going to Game 3, yeah, that's when I think you're going to see their best hockey.
Alex, man, what do you think, buddy?
I'm going to say this is going to be the most physical series the entire playoffs. I think we're in for an absolute battle. As I said, Carolina, as you guys have mentioned, Carolina's well rested. They've been well rested just in general. They've only played 10 games so far in the playoffs. And I think out of the 4 teams in the conference finals, that's the least amount of games played. They get that as an advantage. Huh?
No. Edmonton also has played the same amount of games.
Edmonton's played 11. Edmonton went 6 the first round, 5 the second.
Oh, I thought it was 4-1.
No, that Kings went up
Okay.
2-0. Hence why. Don't you remember my Hiller
Oh,
rant?
you're right. No, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've played one less game than Edmonton.
Yeah, Edmonton's second, but like where Florida, they just came out of a 7-game series. They've only played 2 more games, but still, like that, the element of rest is something that can't be understated. But as Rick has mentioned, teams do show a little bit of rust too. But I think the physicality is going to be big. I think Florida does match up a little bit better against Carolina than, say, if Carolina were to have played Toronto. So Carolina is a tougher matchup for Florida is a tougher matchup for Carolina. I got it mixed up a little bit just because Florida has that physical style.
2 of the same styles. I agree.
But also you were saying that the Carolina goalie, what's his name again? That he was the best goalie but this is Bob's time to shine. This is usually this third and fourth round. He's usually like he played in game 7 here with
this is a rematch of 2 years ago. People forget Florida and Carolina met 2 years ago and Florida swept them. Now I don't think that's going to happen this year. This time I think Carolina gives them a little more of a battle. I think it's going to go the minimum of 6 games. I don't see this being a quick series.
Yeah, I see it in 7. I think I have it.
But
I have it in 6 as well. I have it in 6 like you.
One of the things I'm going to pinpoint right now, Florida's going to need more from Matty Tkachuk. I know he's hurt, but they're going to definitely need more from Matty Tkachuk.
He's significantly injured from what Friedman said on 32 Thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they're going to get more. I don't think he's got more to give right now because
he's going to be a pest. That's all he's going to be.
That's what I mean. Like, even if he's not scoring, he's got to find ways to make impacts because I feel like he was very invisible that series. And it's not just a slap in the face to Matty Tkachuk because he's a dog. The fact he's even out there right now, he is a certified dog. But he's going to have to find other ways to make his presence known.
Rick?
No, I think that's a valid point. I mean, no, to your point about Freddie Anderson too. Yeah, in terms of save percentage, yes, he's the best goalie right now that remains in the playoffs, and it's.
But watch Bob the rest of the way. He's going to be a factor if they win.
But Frederik Andersen leads in save percentage and goals against. Man, I mean, those are big things.
I'm not taking away anything from Anderson. I'm just saying that Bobrovsky, it's the third and fourth. Like he gets better as the playoffs go on. Let's just say that. So I'm just saying that's the guy you got to look at, and he's going to be a factor.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's going to be a big-time goalie matchup this round.
Mm-hmm. They'll need him.
All right, Matt, anything to add, buddy?
So, I think this series, I really do think it comes down to the goaltenders, but I also think it's going to come down to, like Alex said, can Matt Tkachuk still affect the game? I think it's going to be tough. I mean, again, from what was reported on 32 Thoughts, I mean, it sounds like he's dealing with something significant, and I think the Hurricanes might be able to key in on that a little bit.
I don't think it's all
as
on
the
him,
playoffs
though.
go on, it's going to wear more and more on him.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to be as much as you think. Because did you see the? I don't know if it was after last night's game or Game 6. What Tkachuk said about their style and what they do in the playoffs and how their game is built around towards that Game 7 and how they wear teams down. So they get to Game 7 with Carolina. I don't know that Carolina is going to be, and it's not all on Matt Tkachuk. It's the whole team and the way they hit, and they go after the defense and they hit them and they hit them.
But this is where I kind of pinpoint too, where I mentioned Carolina's played the least amount of games. They at least have that little bit of an advantage where they're a little more rested compared to Florida, who's got those extra 2 games and gone through a 7-game battle already. So I point to that a little bit too.
No, but it's all Rick has a point, like to in a degree. Like it can't be just Tkachuk. Barkov needs to start producing too, but Hagee, like their top line needs to do more. So yes, I agree. It's not just on him; it's on Barkov too. But Kachuk is part of that leadership core. And I think, if he's not going to be on the scoreboard, he needs to find ways to be a pest. So I do say like Kachuk does need to do that, but not at the expense of his own health.
I got to say, Luosterainen has been one of the most underrated players for the Panthers in this playoff run.
Their entire third line.
Exactly.
He
That's
is.
the line.
Yeah.
Marchand,
Yeah.
Luosterainen, and I can't remember who the third
Mundell.
guy is. Mundell.
Mundell.
Yeah, I agree with that. That third line's been fantastic. It's been their best line, no doubt. But Luosterainen has been a guy that has gone so under the radar that needs to get more love. He has been absolutely fantastic. When guys like Barkov and Kachuk haven't really stepped up, Reinhart's been good. I think Reinhardt is
He's another one.
Pretty decent. But that third line has been the driving force of the Carolina Panthers. And what a shock. It's their checking line. It's their pest line. Sam Bennett, too, has been pretty productive as well. And he's not even on that third line.
So for the Florida Panthers in the top 10, both Brad Marchand and Eetu Luosterainen are 8 and 9 respectively. They both have 12 points, both point per games players, each have 3 goals and 9 assists. Those are their stats. Yeah. Like they've been touted as one of the better lines in hockey right now. Like they're just meshing. So yeah.
But there you go, right? Because when you're in the playoffs, what do you need to win? What do you need to succeed is you need your depth scoring come up big.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times, right, your first line is going to match up with the other team's first line. They're going to be just as good, so they're going to shut each other down. Same thing with the second line. So that's where your third and fourth line become really, really, really important in the playoffs. And look, and that's what Florida's doing right now. And they're showing up, and they're not winning all the games, but like they're a massive reason why.
And you know the guy who's impressing me the most, Karen, you're gonna love this, is Marchand. He's impressing me at his age and the stuff he's doing and what he did with Toronto. I'm starting to like. I can't even believe I'm saying this, but I'm starting to like Brad Marchand.
Wow, can I get that in writing?
Oh my God. If you want,
I don't think this recording is enough. I need it, because like I needed your signature on it because your camera's not on, so I need to make sure that it's you. I don't want to. I said make sure it's not AI generated. I know,
but I said it. But it's the reason why I took myself like off camera so that you don't see me saying it. I can no. Seriously though, he's impressing me. I have to say, at first I didn't think it was going to be a fit there in the first round, but man, he's taken to that team, and I'm impressed.
He was probably arguably their best forward, in all honesty, in the second round.
He's effective. He's very effective.
All right. So moving on, we have the second matchup in the Western Conference Finals. We have Dallas-Edmonton, a rematch from last year where Edmonton took it last year, but can Dallas do it this year? So, boys, what do you think? Alex, I'll start with you, man. What do you think?
Before I go into it, it's kind of crazy when you look at it. 3 of the 4 teams from the conference finals of last year are back here this year, and the one new team only got knocked out in the second round last year. So we got a lot of familiar blood here. But I know Dallas is licking their chops for another chance at Edmonton. They looked like the better team on paper last year, and they just were unable to score that entire series. It felt like, and their power play was fucking missing. I don't think they had that same issue this year, especially with Stuart Skinner not playing the way he has been playing this year. He's been a little better lately. I will give him credit. He has been a little bit better. But
oh my God, yeah, holy shit!
It's a hole in the playoffs, not so much. So
same thing last year. He got better later in the playoffs.
He did.
He showed up in the third round.
But this Dallas team is a lot deeper than they were last year. And there's one major piece this year they have that they didn't have last year. And that's the current Conn Smythe leader, Mikko Rantanen. And that guy,
good point.
He is a war machine right now. He is a man on a mission. He already stuck it at Colorado. He already stuck it to the President's Trophy winners.
He already stuck it to Alex's face.
And you know what? I got the Stars in 5. I think the Stars
are going to send a statement. Oh, wow.
Dallas sends a statement.
I don't know, man. I'd say Dallas in 6. I mean, I have Dallas winning too, not because, against Edmonton or anything like that. They're just deeper. But they appeared deeper last year. It's really gonna hinge on how Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard play, because that Dallas offense is gonna come and hit you hard. And that Edmonton defense is. I wish I had a bucket next to me, because I can't even start talking about it. I'll puke.
That Dallas team can roll out 4 lines efficiently, and they're just going to keep coming and coming and coming and keep coming.
In episode 69.
I was hoping someone would pick that up. No, but in all seriousness, though, this Dallas team is deep. And you know what? I picked against Edmonton the last 2 series. I was dead wrong in both of them. So I wouldn't be shocked if I'm dead wrong again. But this time they're playing against my cup pick from last year and this year. It's the
So what I'm hearing is Alex is wrong all the time.
I wasn't wrong about the starter this time.
There's a pattern emerging.
Pick
Who here still has that cup pick? Everyone raise their hand if you still have that cup pick.
Oh, what do you mean? Mine was in the bottom 3 of the league this year.
No one still has a cup pick but me.
Mine started as a meme, and I just rolled with it. I'm like, fuck it, I'll keep with Nashville because they won free agency. I started as a joke, and now I realize, like, God, I fucking hate myself.
I think he's talking about the bracket.
No, I know that.
Both?
You didn't have Nashville in the bracket.
Bro, okay. Had Colorado not been eliminated, and Toronto, my bracket would have been perfect.
If the 2 teams
I've been
I had
calling it all to the letter.
Or the 2 teams I had making a run didn't get eliminated, it'd be great.
If my bracket just didn't break, I would have won. Like, that's it. If I didn't get second place, I would have been in first.
My bracket went bust a long time ago.
If I didn't lose, I would have won. Like,
if the picks I made weren't wrong, it would have been right.
Yeah.
Oh man. But just quick to add on to your point, Alex. But another player that's really showing up this year for Dallas, and I find like the last couple of years, like getting to the 3rd round or whatever, he started slowing down. But like Jake Ottinger, like I think him too. I think he's on a mission, and like you heard some comments that he's made about like Team USA and everything. He wants to be the guy next year, and at the Olympics, he wants to be the starter for Team USA. So
and he outplayed the starter in the last series.
There you go. And look, like when the pressure's on, he shows up. Like so far, like he's been great all playoffs, and so he's gonna be a big factor in that game. And like you guys said too, like Calvin Pickard and Stu Skinner. Like, are you gonna depend on these guys? Like, yeah, Skinner's been playing pretty well since he got called back into the net, but like at any moment that this guy could just flop. Like that, it could just come shattering down. So we'll see. It's gonna be an interesting battle. Matt, any thoughts?
Look, I think it's gonna be a great series. But I honestly think the big question is, can Dallas finally pull through? Because I think there's a lot of pressure on the Stars. This is their 3rd straight year in the West Final.
Yep, obviously, it could be their last.
The 2nd time in a row against Edmonton. Like they're kind of in do or die mode. Like because you got to think like if Edmonton wins this series, like where do you go?
They're in a gap hell.
Because
I won't be.
I mean, that's deflating. Like if they fail 3 straight times in the West Final, like that's deflating. You know what I mean? Like that's.
Look at Toronto.
I don't know where you go from there. So I think there's a lot of pressure on Dallas right now. I mean, there's pressure on all the teams, but I think.
No, more so Dallas. I agree.
I think Dallas has probably the most pressure on them of any team right now.
You could argue the same thing with Edmonton because it's the only Canadian team right now with a lot of the geopolitical stuff on between the U.S. and Canada. I mean, you could argue that as a whole, as from a nation or a nationalist or patriotic perspective, like that could also weigh on them a little bit too. But that's not and it's not to bring politics to any of this, but it's a good point to make for those who are Canadian and feel that way. So it's definitely something.
Okay, I'm going to read what I wrote in our drive thing here. So McDavid wants to get back to the final and get revenge on Florida. I love it. I feel this might be the year where McDavid actually is able to lift them into that. And you got Draisaitl there; they're playing well now with the goaltending. It is risky, and they'll keep you on the edge of your seat.
or the edge of the goalpost at that point. At the rate they play.
But it's true about Skinner. He gets better as the series goes along and as the playoffs goes on. So I'm gonna, being a Canadian, I'm going with the Canadian team here. I'm gonna back that. I'm gonna be on the edge of my seat the whole way. I know that. Dallas needs to get over the hump to get into the finals. So, like you guys were saying, are they going to? We were talking earlier about their problem with depth scoring. If they don't overcome that, so there's, it can go either way. I really think that, and I'm going to go with it, Edmonton in 7. But yeah, I'm going to go with Edmonton.
Oh, 7. Oh, that's a hard one. Yeah, it's rough. I mean, Evander Kane's been stellar for them. I don't know what line he's playing on exactly, but he's had a great playoffs for them so far, I think. I mean,
him, Trent Frederick, too's had a pretty good playoff, too.
Yeah.
Hyman's been picking it up of late. Oh, like
future flyer, Trent Frederick.
I look at the beginning of the playoffs against the series against LA. Like I was really questioning their depth and their secondary players because they just weren't showing up. And like I'll say it, like look, they shut me up because like they started playing. They finally started playing like a team, and it's gonna be a tough series. Honestly, I'm gonna pick Dallas just because like I like Dallas, and we'll see. I think it's hard because like you have the best player in the world right now in Connor McDavid, but at the same time you have like Mikko Rantanen that's just going God mode right now. So it's like,
that
you figure that cancels each other out. Depth cancels each other out. Defense, I guess I'll give Dallas a slight edge on defense. Well, nah, I shouldn't say slight, but you know what? I'll give it to Edmonton's defense though. Like they've been playing a lot better. They have been playing a lot better. So that like. Obviously, advantage Dallas though, guaranteed. But like you give the big edge in goaltending to Dallas, and I think that's where I lean, and I think that's why Dallas is gonna probably take this series.
I don't think I'm giving Dallas just the edge in goaltending. I'm giving them the whole fucking sidewalk. It's like they got multiple lanes on that. Holy shit!
And that's sometimes where you get burned.
Yeah,
because it doesn't take the best goalie; it takes a hot goalie, and if Skinner is hot in this series, and Ottinger has maybe not the hottest series. That I'm just saying that could happen.
You're right.
No, but we're also Connor McDavid's playing in this series. Like he's more than capable of just saying "fuck this shit," give me the puck, and going off for like a million. Like you know what I mean?
And Draisaitl,
he could just completely go off and just pants everybody.
Right, and Draisaitl can score in other people's nets.
So I think, I think I agree. This is going 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm going to lead Edmonton a little bit because I do think, Rick, I'm with you. I think Connor McDavid might just throw the team on his back and will them to the final.
Yeah,
I do. I love Jake Ottinger a lot. Jake Ottinger is one of my favorite goalies in the league. Another Hockey East product, Boston University. But
not to brag,
man, it's gonna be a great series, but yeah, I think Connor McDavid's just. I think you're right, Rick. I think him and Draisaitl might just throw the team on their back and just do it.
Yep, that's how I'm looking at it.
I will say one thing I was worried about with Edmonton a few weeks ago was how healthy their two-headed monster was of Draisaitl and McDavid, but they both look pretty good right now. I thought they were going to be a little more dinged up than they actually were. They're not. They look like they're healthy. Healthy for playoff standards. They're playing well. And I got to say, if Edmonton does win this series, I am picking them to beat whoever comes out of the East. I will say that. If Edmonton pulls it off this series, I'm picking them to beat whoever comes out of the East.
Yeah, they would have been battle tested for sure.
I'll finally be on the Edmonton bandwagon at that point.
Yeah, I'd root for Edmonton in the final. If they make it. I'm actually rooting for the Western teams. I don't really care for Carolina, and I like Dallas and I like Edmonton, so I'm actually rooting for a Western team this year. It's gonna be fun.
The two teams there.
Yeah, whichever team comes out of the West, I'm with.
Yeah, I can't root for Florida for several reasons. Not that I hate the Panthers, but I do. But I don't.
Make up your mind though.
I don't do.
Oh, okay.
I don't do.
I don't do.
As long as you're sure.
3 Ds. Don't do that.
All right. So okay. So moving on, I guess, to the next topic. Question: what's worse, having an easier or a harder path to the final? So, any thoughts? Let's start with Rick.
Oh, I was hoping you'd say that. Okay, because I think I'm the only one. I think I'm the only one that would.
Yeah, you might be the only wrong one.
I think the worst is the harder path.
Ugh.
And here's my example of why. Montreal Canadiens won the cup in 1986 and 93, and both of those
Uh-oh,
seasons,
boomer alert.
the reason they got there was the top teams got knocked out early. Not by Montreal, by other teams. So their path was easier, and they won the cup both times. I think that's the easier it is, the better, isn't it? If I want to get $1
I will say
million,
this
you give me an
real-
easy way to make $1 million, or you give me a hard way to make $1 million. I'm taking the easy way every single time.
See, I think that's different when you bring the stuff into that. Alex, you were going to add to Rick, or you were going to refute him?
I will say I can give you a counter argument of a team recently that had a pretty
Let's go,
easy
fight.
path that ended up losing in the final. And Cam, you know this team all too well. It's your 2019 Boston Bruins.
What year?
2019.
That year doesn't exist.
Leafs in seventh. Then you ended up getting Columbus, who won a whole career total of 1 playoff series. Then you got a very young, inexperienced Carolina team in the East Final and swept them. And then you ran into St. Louis. Didn't have the, and then we know
What was St. Louis, though?
St.
A
Louis was an 8th
Cinderella team, a team
Okay.
of destiny.
But
That's
still-
what you're gonna give that example.
Quick,
But
quick,
is it
quick
still
poll.
not a good example?
You
Quick
could kind
poll.
of you could kind of argue that the '93 Canadians were kind of a Cinderella team, though,
Yeah, you Cinderella pansy.
because they weren't really like.
Okay, but their path was made easier, but so that doesn't change that. And maybe
I
that's
bet
why
you
they
wear
were
your
the
socks
Cinderella
over your
team.
pants.
Maybe that's the reason they were the Cinderella team. It's because the path opened up for them.
Keeps my ankles warm.
Keeps his ankles warm. I have a quick poll. Is Rick the only one that chose that the harder path is worse?
I don't know about Matt, but I think you all the other three guys, you think it the other way around.
I think the easier path is the worst.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
no,
does,
that's
so does
that's what I think
Alex.
too.
Yeah, man. Like
So does Matt.
Oh,
I think
Eric.
I'm the only one.
Hold on. Eric
Yeah,
hasn't
I'd
made his
rather-
vote.
4-1. 4-1.
I think it all depends on. You have to really define what harder path means. Now, because like, if you're talking about like, if you got to go through 3 brutal series of like a very physical series, then that's. I think by the time you get to the cup, I think you're probably finished.
Right.
Like, but like if we're talking about, well, okay, but they had to play like the 1 seed and like the 2 seed or the 3 seed, whatever, getting there, but they're not super physical. Like if you just like win it on pure skill,
That's a
then,
good
like,
point.
so it's really tough for me to answer this question. Personally,
what do you-
I probably would choose the I think I would probably choose the easier path. Maybe I would lean a little bit more towards there, just because that would just mean less wear and tear on the team and like a little more rest. But then again, I think one of the perfect examples of too much rest being a bad thing was actually what was it? What year was it? The year that Columbus basically beat Tampa Bay. You know, and then they had like almost 2 weeks because they swept them and they almost had 2 weeks off. And then you saw that by the next round,
They
like
played Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I can
that's right,
point
right?
to
So,
I can
and
point
they-
to examples where
flat.
Montreal Canadiens
Here's
when
an
I'm
example.
growing up, where they played I don't know 3 series and they won it in 13 games.
Here's an example of a team where
Is that
had
but they won and it was easy and they won.
Yeah, but here's the thing, like, because I'm assuming that this is also assuming that both teams that make the final are at that they've had that caliber, right? You could always say one team had a little bit of an easier path versus the other. You could always have that argument. The reason why I say the harder path is the easier path is worse is because you're not battle tested, so you could see in a way how some of these games would go. Like if you're a sweeping team, like if you have 2 sweeps in the first 2 rounds and then what your last one goes 5-6 games, you're not really battle tested in my mind. Like, the perfect example of this is the Boston Bruins in 2011. They had to win 3 game 7s to get to raise the Stanley Cup. They had to beat Montreal in 7 in round 1. They swept the Flyers in round 2. Sorry, Alex. And then they beat Tampa in 7 games.
Sorry.
Because we swept.
Not,
Yeah.
not sorry. It was their revenge. They were waiting for that for a whole year.
You better believe it.
Yeah. After you guys reverse swept us in 2010. But then we had to go play Tampa in 7 games, and then we had to go play Vancouver in 7 games. Like that was not an easy thing. And we had to win that cup on the road.
Then it goes to what Eric said about what's your definition of hard and easy?
I mean, I feel like that in 2011, that was not an easy path for the Bruins at all. I would say that they probably had the hardest.
Well, I'm just saying, for me, when you say easy, I'm not saying it's easy because you swept the teams all the way through. I'm just saying that the top teams are knocked out of your way. You still might have 7-game series all the way through, but those top teams are knocked out of the way, and you can win a cup. I think that's a better way to, an easier way, and that's the better way if you can get it.
Yeah, but prove me if I'm wrong, though. So then if you still go, like, say, 3 7-game series, or let's just say one of them is a 6-game or 5-game, whatever, because that's typically the trend on a normal basis. There's probably about 19 games played before you reach the cup final. And so when you reach the cup final, now you're playing a top team. That's what I mean, because now you're going to assume.
And you just played 3 series,
mediocre
3 rounds, and you're ready. You're battle tested. Don't tell me you're not battle tested.
I wouldn't say you're battle tested.
Come on.
Because if you're playing, those are the top teams in your conference.
It doesn't matter. You're
not the other conference.
You're still playing 3 rounds of playoff hockey. Look how good the playoff hockey is this year. Look how good playoff hockey is. And it's tough and it's hard and you got to work and you get hit and you're all injured. And it's how you're not battle tested.
I don't know. Look at Toronto. I'll keep bringing those fuckers up all day.
Toronto, that's just a
Washington.
Special case. That's a special case that'll never change.
They're
That's
just
cursed
bums.
from above or something. I don't know.
No, but they're a prime example of why an easier path might benefit them. But if they get to the final and they think it's going to be easy, my issue is that you get accustomed to not playing a very hard, gritty style of hockey that you would need to if you had a harder path. Like you would know that you need to give everything that you possibly can.
Wow, I mean that should be your attitude anyway. And Toronto's a special case where they don't have that ability, but that should be the way when you get into the playoffs. Right? You should have that attitude of approaching the games.
Nordy, back me up. Come on, argue with me. Alex, guys, let's be ageist for a minute.
Well, I'm with the harder route. I'd rather be battle tested. I'd rather have a team that has persevered and gone through some difficult games throughout and shown that they can battle through this resilience. Now, will you be a little more worn down? Yeah, maybe, but everyone's going to be worn down to some level of degree going into the playoffs. I know I kind of just completely counter-argued that with Carolina, but at least in the terms of being battle-tested, you're at least prepared in some of these scenarios. I give you another good example. I'm pretty sure that Kings team in 2012 had
rough
quite a few lengthy series when they were the 8th seed. You want to talk about a hard path? I believe they played Vancouver. Was it Vancouver in the first round that year?
They had to play out of their fucking minds, dude. Quick was phenomenal.
And they weren't getting much scoring. Jonathan Quick was incredible, and they had to work hard. And
you want to talk about a Cinderella story?
That 2012 Kings team, man, that's battle tested.
Name me a Stanley Cup winner.
This team didn't win the cup, but they went through friggin' hell to get there. The 2014 New York Rangers went to 7 with us in the first round, went to 7 in Pittsburgh in the second round, and then went to 6 or 7 with Montreal in the third round before they finally got to the cup. And they did lose to the Kings there as well in 5, but that Rangers team was very battle-tested.
Okay, but name me a team that's gotten to the Stanley Cup Finals that didn't have to work hard and all those things you said to get there. Name me a team.
The
2013 Boston Bruins.
They were a fucking wagon and killed everyone.
2013 Boston Bruins. They had one of the easier paths. Toronto was their only difficult matchup in 2013.
Did you allow
One-
2 goals to the Pittsburgh Penguins in the entire series in the conference final?
Yep.
I remember that
2019 Boston
statistic.
Bruins.
The
They-
Penguins scored 2 goals the entire
And they were the team I was scared of the most.
That was one of the most embarrassing performances I've seen from a team in my life. Was
Yep.
the 2013 Pens in the East Finals.
And like I said, too, 2019 Boston Bruins. I remember listening to the radio that 2013 and 2019 were arguably the Bruins' easiest paths to the Cup final.
1976 Habs won the Stanley Cup, the final series, swept the Flyers, and it was not an easy series
They swept the Flyers.
in 76.
And we were back-to-back champs at that point, though, to be fair.
That's right.
And we didn't have
but
Bernie.
that's what I mean.
I think didn't
We
Bernie get
swept,
hurt at the series?
we swept Philadelphia, but man, if you want to say that was an easy series, then you well, obviously you guys didn't see it, but
I wasn't
I
around.
was
in
the point when my
1976.
dad died.
I don't think I was even a
That's saying,
thought.
right?
I don't even think I was still in my dad's balls at that point. I think he
No.
wasn't even. They haven't even formed yet. Like shit.
I want to go, though, the 2013 Blackhawks. They smoked Minnesota in 5. They did go 7 with Detroit, but it didn't really feel like a 7-game series, if I remember correctly. And they mollywopped the Rangers. I mean, not the Rangers, the Kings in 5. And then they played the Bruins. The Bruins gave them a little bit of a battle, I will say, in the Cup final in 2013, until the 2 goals in 17 seconds happened and broke the Bruins' heart. But that's besides the point. But
One of the funniest ever sports moments I ever had with my dad. He was coming home from work that game, parked in the driveway. Now, it's like a 10-foot walk from the driveway to the front door. I believe Bickle had scored.
yeah,
And then he comes in the front door, and I go, Dad, the Blackhawks just took the lead. And he goes, how the fuck did the Blackhawks score 2 goals in the time it took me to get out of the car and walk in the house?
well, it happens,
go,
man.
I don't know, but Tuukka Rask got the last one, came out of the net and left it empty. He goes,
Bowen and Bickle got the 2 goals, if I remember
it
correctly.
was so funny. He could have. He's like, how? It took me 2 seconds to walk in the house.
Oh, that was crazy.
Oh
I know
man.
the pain.
Well,
Yeah, but you know what? Like like Florida, Carolina now in the Eastern Conference Final. Like that should be like a good indication of actually this topic right now, because you look
Yep.
at Carolina in the first 2 rounds, right? Like round 1, New Jersey, like they walked all over New Jersey. That wasn't a hard series. Then like
No.
Washington, like that one went 5. It was a little harder of a series because you
More
still played
physical.
Washington for
It's an easy path.
It was
Like,
a
this is
physical.
gonna be
That was
telling.
a physical series, whatever you want to say. That's Washington.
it
They were
was.
physical.
It was a physical series, but it only
Oh.
went 5 games, and it wasn't as bad. Like it wasn't as physical as Montreal, Washington. That series wasn't even close
Yeah,
to
that
being
one
as
was-
physical as that one was.
Yep.
So what now you have Florida, who they beat Tampa in 5, but that was a pretty physical series.
Yep.
And then they just went 7 with Toronto.
And they played
so-
physical against Toronto heavily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well, that's what they do.
I think this now it's not the final, but like it's going to be an interesting, and it's
They're going to be battle tested. Yeah.
yeah. So that could be a
No,
good
I-
indication
You
of
can say
what-
the same thing about Edmonton going against Dallas. Edmonton, I mean,
True.
they fought back against the Kings. They fought back and smoked VGK, and VGK
Yeah.
doesn't play a light
They
style of
rolled them.
hockey. And so it's like now you're going to have Dallas, who is a very top. Both of these teams that have the potential, like in whichever way you look at it, and then you can look at Dallas too. Dallas they had to get past Colorado.
that was
Winnipeg
a tough series.
was a joke, but like you look at it, a lot of these teams that are in their conference finals right now, that middle series, that divisional round, wasn't as rough as most people thought. So you have like 4 teams right now battling for their spots in the final that have arguably had the same type of paths outside of Carolina.
I think what
Carolina has had the easiest.
to me, what this discussion says is that it's flip a coin. It could be,
Pretty much.
you
Flip
don't
a
know.
coin.
There's so many ways series are won and cups are won. I don't know.
There's
But
so
we
many
want to hear
different
your
factors.
thoughts. But we want to hear your thoughts out there on what you guys think. It's not what would you prefer. I mean, I guess you could answer it that way too.
Yeah.
But what do you think is worse? Like, would you rather your team be battle tested, or would you rather your team have an easier path and then potentially be healthy? Because let's remember, injuries happen. irrespective of whether or not, like, you know, they have these non-contact ones, and that's a scary one. So, you know, you never know.
They're all
Guys,
battle-tested.
you're battle tested just with age. Got him. Boo, I suck. Guys, final thoughts before we close out. We are going to save
Yep.
our fourth topic for next week, guys. So we hope you guys tune in for that. But before we close out, what do you guys have to say?
Boo,
Crickets.
you suck.
Bueller, anyone, Bueller.
Nobody
No,
got
I'm.
anything
You
to
know what?
say.
That these playoffs have been great, man. Like honestly, I don't think I've enjoyed the
They have been.
much in a while. So,
I'm watching the most playoff hockey I've ever watched.
Same.
So it's been
I
really
agree
good.
with that.
And by the way, I'm not sure, but I think we're going to be covering that Dallas Edmonton series. So
We will be.
Probably
Live stream
both.
Wednesday, game 1.
Probably both. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe not tomorrow's game for Carolina, Florida, but we will be streaming as many games as we possibly can. So, guys, please join in with us on our live sessions on our YouTube. You can find us at Don't Puck with Media on YouTube. We love the live interactions.
and we have fun doing it.
And we have fun doing it. Hell yeah, man. But, ladies and gentlemen, that does it for episode 69, giggity, of the Pucking Around podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube and at Don't Puck with Media for more NHL content. Connect with us at don'tpuckwithmedia.com and or leave us your comments below. You can continue to find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And until next time, guys, puck around and find out. Rick, take us out.
Have a good week, everybody. Ciao.
Promise that you'll catch me.